All right, Mike, you're free to go. You gonna take your DVDs?
I already watched them. Alright, I guess it's time to do another episode of the podcast called Shotz. It's funny, didn't it used to have a different name? It's been so long I can't remember. Oh well, time to get started. I'm gonna grab the microphone here.
Free as a bird, you can podcast wherever you like.
I'd like my podcasting mic back, please.
Could it be you don't remember me?
I remember you. You burned down that video store and went to jail.
I'm disappointed. I'm hurt.
I would like my mic.
Mike, you look the same. They say a podcaster gains a pound each week. On my sentence, I lost a pound each year.
BuddyShotzPodcast? We did over 100 episodes, right?
Hey, you got it. It's been 14 years since I held a podcasting microphone.
I do not apologize for not helping you. No movies should ever be destroyed.
They had a whole shelf of Theodore Rex. 14 years ago, I had to make a commitment to an 8x9 cell. Now you're going to have to make a commitment. I'm here to save you.
Hello, everybody out there, to all our wonderful viewers in the Buddy Shots Nation. We love your appreciation. So,
could you be there? Could you be there? It's Feare week. Let's do this.
It's true. Episode 171. We've come a ways from the beginning.
All the way
just a little bit
to the fear of Cape.
Yeah. So,
did you think this movie was about Mario and his fear of capes?
No.
Actually, it would be all those that face Mario.
Right, yeah, I was like... Mario and his fear of mushrooms that he uses all the time to his advantage. Yes. He's like... Ah! Super Mario World, he's like... No. But, when you first nominated, TheSimpsons, Cape Feare, which had a 25% yes and a 75% no for the poll. I didn't know what you meant, but once I started watching it or looked up what it was, I knew exactly which episode it was because I had seen it multiple times.
Mm-hmm. It's a classic.
Yeah, and then Cape Feare, I'd never seen the original, or actually even I don't know if maybe I'd heard of it in passing, but never even knew what it was about. So, but.
It's the best way to go into it.
I watched Cape Feare, even though I'd already seen The Simpsons Cape Feare first, years ago, I had no clue what it was based on, and watching Cape Feare first this time, and then watching The Simpsons 3 times, this episode, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you see all the little things in it. It's like a Buddy Shot skit of an episode.
But it actually has good writing.
Well. Cape Feare, 50-50.
Oh, okay.
People, so I thought more people would have seen the Simpsons episode.
Me too, but I mean, if you think about it, that episode is 30 years old at this point.
True.
So,
and
Jesus.
By this point, Simpsons is not really relevant.
Yeah,
but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah,
we'll do it anyway.
Should we do Cape Feare first?
Whatever you want, man. It's your week.
Let's do the movie first, and then get into the Simpsons episode as a dessert.
To the
main course.
Let me go down to my notes for Cape Feare. Because I always put the weird watches first whenever I take notes. How do you do it? Do you do it in order of what you watch, or?
Yeah.
Okay. You're like, yeah.
I'm like, the best improv.
You're like,
no, but.
No. Yes. No, but.
Is that how you do it? No.
No. You just walk out. I'm like,
well, so I had the idea to do this episode back when we did Breakfast of Champions, and you were like, hey, this Nick Nolte guy is pretty good. I'd like to see more of his stuff. And I was looking at his filmography, and I was like, ooh, Cape Feare could be a good one to talk about, because I've seen this movie a bunch of times, and it's something.
Yeah, and shockingly, he was not the most out of control person in this movie.
Yeah, not
I
even
was like,
close.
wait a minute. So, I guess maybe we can do this now. I have a special surprise.
Oh no.
Do you know what this is going to be?
No.
So, we've got a special drink.
Come on.
Yeah.
This is happening.
Yeah. So, I guess we can explain what this means. Like, in the movie, there's a private investigator that...
played by Joe Don Baker.
That Nick Nolte hires. And one of the drinks, like, one of the things he does kind of towards the end of the movie is he drinks this drink that he said was his dad's favorite. And it's, like, half Jim Beam and half Pepto. And I'm like, dude, this looks gross, but...
The drink of deep alcoholics with ulcers.
Right.
So you can continue to drink yourself to death.
I've never had Jim Beam before. I don't know how this is gonna fucking taste. Like,
prepare yourself.
What are your predictions for what you think this is gonna taste like? Do you think it's gonna be straight up gross or?
Yeah, it's gonna be horrible.
Okay. Do you want to pour?
I like the taste of Jim Beam, and I like the taste of Pepto-Bismol, but together they are not going to.
Is there a Pepto-Bismol soda? You think?
I wouldn't be surprised, dude. I can't believe this is happening. How'd you even think of this?
Well, when I saw the movie, I was like, okay, we got to try this. I've never seen this.
Dude.
Yeah, that's how it looked in the fucking movie too.
I'm just preparing you. You're gonna hate this.
Oh yeah, I know I'm gonna hate it. You know what the weird thing is? I don't think he even mixed it up when he fucking drank it, but I'm mixing mine up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this is gonna fucking...
Cheers.
I don't know if I'm gonna take a big swig.
Good God. That's horrible.
Jesus! That's why I brought this.
The Pepto doesn't help.
Yeah. What's the fucking point of the Pepto?
I guess to help your stomach process the horrific alcohol that's burning it.
Yeah. I can't believe... Do you drink this normally?
No.
Okay. I think it's fucking like it's like drinking rubbing alcohol. It's fucking gross. Well, not that I've drank
straight up booze.
You want this?
I'm like, all right, I'll finish it.
I mean, I'm not going to take it home and drink it.
Dude, I wish I would have had this during Whoopies week.
Oh my god.
Down the whole thing.
Well, yeah, then that I don't know if it would have made the episode worse. Probably, what am I talking about? It would have made the episode worse because anytime someone's like, do you want some of this?
No, I'm good.
I was like, okay, here you go. Give you a little, we might need that Pepto later. But like, dude. In my wildest imaginations, I never expected it to taste that fucking bad. Like, it was just like... I don't know. It's like drinking something that burns and it just tastes like shit.
And it tastes like medicine.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, cool.
The worst of both worlds.
And it's not something that you're going to drink and it's going to make you better.
No.
It's not like medicine where it's like, this may smell bad or this may taste bad, but you'll be good. But it's like... Jesus. He's like, this is my dad's favorite drink. And I'm like, I'm glad that fucker got killed. I'm like, IRL. But yeah. Okay, well, now that that's out of the way. I wanted to do that early because I was like, it's probably shouldn't do it like towards the end of the episode because we're going to have to let that sit and maybe, hopefully we'll be okay. But
that was gross.
We were both smart. I was like, when you went like that, I was like, hopefully you're not going to take a big drink of it.
No.
And you were like, no. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to either. I don't think I could have if I wanted to. Like, if somebody put a gun in my head, I guess I would, because I don't want to die. But I'm like, I'd rather not drink this than die. I was like, man. Okay, so I guess we'll start with the movie here.
Yeah.
I put that, like, in the music in the beginning, like, in the credits, it kind of sounded familiar, like something from, like, Back to the Future or something. It had, like, a weird, like... interesting thing.
Yeah, I think basically who did the score? I can't remember. But they basically took the score from the original movie and like reworked it a little bit, but it's basically the same same score.
Which is Sideshow Bob's theme.
Yeah.
In this show. De Niro's looking like the skinniest I've ever seen him in a film. I've seen him in this film.
De Niro in his prime.
Yeah, he's looking fucking skinny.
What'd you think of our buddy Bob De Niro in this movie?
Bob's
performance, which was nominated for an Oscar. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
what the fuck?
There were 2 people nominated for this movie, him and Juliette Lewis.
She seems to get a lot of nods in movies. She plays the young girl in peril pretty well.
Yeah, I think she's my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
I'm kind of sad. Like I mean, I'm sure she's in a lot more stuff, but it's kind of like, remember when I was like, you don't see what's her name from Spider-Man and a lot of stuff, and it's like maybe I think I just don't see her in a lot of stuff I've seen recently.
I think the most recent thing she's been in is Yellow Jackets. Remember we watched that first
right,
episode?
Yeah, I do remember
she's
that.
Great in that.
But it's just like, you know, she's not like in a bunch of movies or anything like she used to be.
TV, sadly.
Right. She's kind of like the mom now,
mm-hmm.
which is fine. But I think she's got the chops to do more.
Yeah, I mean, she was pretty young in this movie, and it's weird. It's always weird when like kids basically get nominated for Oscars, but I think she deserved it. I mean,
yeah, it's weird to see her like kissing Robert De Niro, but at the same time, it was like they don't portray it as anything good in the movie. Like, it's not like other movies I've seen where like they have characters that are kind of like way too young, like, you know,
mm-hmm.
in love with an adult, and they kind of portray it. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. They kind of portray it in like a weird light, and it's like
in a sleazy way.
Yeah. I'm like, I hung out with a minor today, but you did it in a sleazy way. It's like, huh? But like, yeah, I mean, I guess to your original question, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with him in it that I didn't like.
Yeah.
His performance. I mean, there's a reason why he's like
the goat.
Yeah. The throat goat. He's the coat goat.
He's like, nice. Coat goat.
Yeah, he's like.
This was the movie he made after Goodfellas.
Oh wow!
So, and with Scorsese,
the one where he fucking became a dummy for like 1 second.
That was Casino.
Oh, okay, that's right. He's like, yeah, he's awesome. I love these movies where he's more unhinged, like The Fan in this, because it's like. Also, like, in this, he has, like, an accent, but I don't know if you noticed, but there are times when, like, he comes out of it, and he's just De Niro for, like, a tiny little bit.
I didn't really notice that.
But I think it's, like, it's not, like, super noticeable, but, like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's great in this. I've always had a bit of a problem with the ending of this movie, which we'll get to, but I think it goes just a little bit too far over the top. Like, and becomes
it kind of becomes like an action film.
Yeah,
yeah. Instead
I don't
of
like
like a thriller. Or whatever.
But I think up till that point, like he's totally riveting to watch in this movie.
But like, yeah, his accent is definitely not. It's good, but it's not like, to me, like when I think of like Southern accent transformations, I think of like someone like Andrew Lincoln, where it's like, holy shit, that guy's British, and like his accent was over the top as fuck. This was over the top, but it wasn't like, it was also kind of subdued sometimes, so it wasn't like. But anyway, enough shitting on that. John Ritter in a random scene when they're watching TV. Here's Daddy. That's from like a movie like.
It's from Problem Child.
Yeah, I was like, that seemed like familiar. But,
yeah.
God, I remember watching that movie and being like, what the fuck is this? When I watched it when I was a kid, and I was like, this is not a kid's movie.
I know, it's kind of disturbing.
It's like back then, like when you would rent a VHS, like there was no internet, so you didn't know really anything about it. So it's like, oh, this looks like a kid's movie, and you'd rent it, and there'd be like nudity, or like there's a part where like a meatball goes into some chick's cleavage, and like freaking Gilbert Gottfried, I think, goes to get it, and she like beats his ass, and he's like, ah! And I was like horrified as a kid.
Dude, now I want to watch Problem Child again.
You've seen it before?
Not since I was a little kid.
Have you seen the second one?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't know why. I was scared, but I liked him at the time, at least. So I guess we'll see.
All right, next week, Problem Child 1 and 2 double feature. I just smoke a big cigar and laugh the whole time.
Yes. Jesus. Yeah, speaking of which, De Niro smoking a cigar and laughing out of control. That's my note. I went, okay.
When I first watched this movie, I was probably in like maybe junior high. So I was pretty young, and I was like, okay, I'm in. This is amazing. Like, what is happening? What am I watching?
Yeah. But
it wasn't until his scene with what's her name, when he takes her home, Ileana Douglas.
Oh yeah.
That I got scared.
I was like, it's like the opposite of like Breakfast at Champions. It's like Bruce Willis was horrified to have sex with a woman, and he made the woman be horrified to have sex with him. They're like playing that game from Next Generation and Outlast, like Wall Ball or whatever the fuck it's
Racquetball.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this? Wall Ball. You ever played Wall Ball? But it's like pretty apparent he's having an affair with this chick, and it's like, dude, what the fuck is with these movies? Freaking this, this is like the first thing where you're like, maybe this guy isn't like totally innocent. Nick Nolte or whatever. But
I do think that is interesting because it's not like they don't have the perfect family that's being like destroyed by De Niro. There's already like the marriage you can tell is like on the rocks.
It's kind of like Breakfast of Champions, honestly.
Yeah, that's true.
He's confronting a man on the street. He is the enemy. So De Niro has some pretty good quotes in this movie.
Oh yeah,
and stuff. He's pretty out of control or whatever. There's negative space sex, where it's like it goes like negative in the film or whatever while they're having sex, and I was just like, dude, this is so weird. Like anytime it went to negative. Because it happens a couple of times in the film, and it's never really explained what's going on, but it's, like, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you remember that? You're like, no.
Directorial touch. But it's like...
that's his thing he always puts in his movies.
Just the stylization.
Of, like, negative space. He does that a lot, or...
I don't know if that's, like, a thing.
Okay.
But it's something...
I've never, like...
different.
I'm trying to think what other movies I've seen by him, but I don't remember.
Taxi Driver?
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
You're like, that's it.
There's like,
he never did another film.
There's something similar in that where, again, in that movie, De Niro is like an unhinged psycho. And sometimes the camera will be like, he'll be talking on the phone, and the camera will just like look away from him at something else. And it's like just weird, unique.
It's almost like film school kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I didn't write. Get the dog off week? What the fuck is that about? It's something about the dog, like they're doing something with the dog.
R.I.P.
Yeah, he does get killed. Not you don't see it in the movie though, in a sleazy way. He did it in a great way. The house on the inside kind of reminded me of like the house from Jumanji. Like it had that some of those really rich houses back in that era had that weird like they just had that weird spiral staircase, and I was like, what? Like
the 90s.
You got money, bro.
Yuppie house.
Right, exactly. So, like, Nick Nolte had, like, evidence that, like, De Niro might not have, like, actually, like, raped the person he went to jail over, and he hid the evidence. But then you find out that, like, regardless, like, the whole reason that he hid the evidence because De Niro is a fucking psychopath. So, like, it kind of comes into play, like, was he right to fucking put this guy in jail, or when he was his lawyer, because, like, as a person's lawyer, regardless, like, he has the right to fair representation and stuff like that, regardless of what he did. So it's like, was Nick Nolte in the right for sending an asshole to jail so he couldn't fuck over other people, or was he, taking the law into his own hands and stuff like that? So it's pretty interesting. That's like,
what's the answer?
Right? Yeah. Oh.
Tell me.
I mean, after the events of this movie, I guess he was justified, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's a slippery slope, because then it's like you start doing like Minority Report, where you start like convicting people on stuff that they might do. But they make it pretty clear. There's really no ambiguity as this movie goes on that De Niro is like a complete piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like he was framed, or like he was like the woman was sleeping around, but like that doesn't excuse the fact that he might have beat her ass, or like he might have actually raped her. Just because she was having sex with people doesn't mean that like she was like, yeah, like I was sleeping with all these other people, so you raping me is fine. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But it's interesting because they don't make like Nick Nolte's character. He's not like, like Superman, where he's like got nothing wrong with him. He's like, there's something to it with him at least. So he should be in jail.
I like that.
I mean, honestly, it makes you think like, how many other cases was he involved with?
Exactly.
That possibly like because once you do it once, it's like somebody that like cheats like in a marriage or a relationship, or somebody that like once you cross that line, like why would you ever stop? You know, you've already crossed that line. So I'm like, why would you stop? Why would you stop? It's just so great. But you know what I mean? It's like, how many other people did he get screwed over? And De Niro talks about how he was sodomized in prison by 4 white dudes and 4 black dudes. And I went, okay, that sucks. I mean, I guess that might send anyone to fucking a frenzy.
Yeah.
Of ecstasy. No, like, yeah, it's just like, all around it's a fucking shitty situation.
Yeah, but I love movies or stories like this where it's like, you would think, what would you do in this situation? Like, it's...
What? No. No, I'm not saying, like, it's a shitty... I'm like, this movie sucks because they didn't tell me it was right and wrong. I think it's a shitty situation on all fronts. Like, it's shitty that De Niro had to go through that, but he also was doing stuff he shouldn't do. But then, like, Nick Nolte's cheating on his wife, so he's not innocent, and he also fudged the numbers back then for the case, and he was his client, so it's like, Jesus Christ, like, what did he do to people he wanted to fuck over? Like,
yeah.
So, it's also kind of weird in this movie because, like, his wife kind of seems like she's on the know of some of this stuff, because she's like, you know, they kind of talk about the cases, and I'm like, she's kind of almost as guilty as he is of this kind of shit. Like, she's kind of a scumbag, and that... Not that she, like, you know, deserves to be cheated on by her husband, but at the same time, she seems to, like, know he's been cheating, and, like, there's a point where she, like, beats his ass, and he just kind of takes it because he knows it's, like, you know, he fucked up. Like, what's he gonna do? Like,
I'm pretty sure Jessica Lange plays the wife. I'm pretty sure she was playing it like she hates his guts. So,
oh yeah, for
like,
sure.
it's
very interesting.
Yeah.
Totally, yeah.
So, the original Cape Fear,
yeah, that
1962,
one, right? Yeah,
it starred Robert Mitchum and Gregory Peck, who were both in this movie, which I thought was a very cool touch.
Yeah, that is.
Thankfully,
legit.
they were both like still alive at that point,
just like in Get Carter.
Yeah. And I have seen the original, and it's good, but I wanted to focus on this one instead of doing like a double feature like I've done sometimes before.
Creature feature. There was a creature in this film, De Niro.
There was.
He was a freak.
He turned into a Jason at the end.
Oh my god. Yeah, I guess that honestly, now that I guess we'll talk about that towards the end, but I think that's another thing that was kind of weird. Watching through One Way Glass, and you see like all of like De Niro's tattoos and stuff, and they're all like, I was fucked, you know, I will get revenge, and it's like all these like tattoos like vengeance is nigh and stuff, and it's like, Jesus.
Everything they reveal about him makes him scarier and scarier.
Yeah. They like shake him down and stuff and take him in, and then like these like, we can screw him over if we found, or you know, we can nail him to the wall if we find, you know, if we know that he, you know, got into your house. And he's like, well, I have no proof. And then that's when the cops are like, dude, you can't be fucking doing this to this guy if you don't have any proof that he actually even did this. And he's like, that's when it's also like, okay, so this guy's been kind of bending shit to his will. He's bending it like Beckham.
That was the first time I saw this, like, this movie disturbed me pretty hard because, and the scariest part was like,
but when you saw it, you were like, you said you were like in what, like junior high?
Yeah.
So you were probably
this was one where like I was homesick from school and my dad had rented this, so I watched it. And it messed me up. But the scariest part was the fact that he gets inside their house sometimes.
Right.
And there's the one part where they do the negative thing where he's like inside the house. That gave me nightmares.
And he's like, yeah, that's funny because you say that, because like I never really thought about it till you just said that, where it's like, was that him just like dreaming that? But like, no, he was probably actually in the house because he, like you said, he had to have gotten into the house to poison the dog. So there's a way he's getting in. Yeah. It reminds me of, like, I remember there was a story, like years ago of, like over in Japan of, like, somebody living in this person's house for years, and they were, like, living in the walls or something, or in the ceiling or whatever, and they eventually, like, found them or whatever, and it was, like, just weird that, like, that person was there the whole time. What?
I thought I heard a noise.
Bullshit.
Yeah, I've heard stories like that, too, and it's, like, the scariest thing I could ever imagine. Like, holy jeez.
You're like, holy jeez.
Like gee whiz.
Yeah, I'm like, oh. So they have a parade in this movie, of course. Of course, except for Mr.
Great
A.
parade.
Yeah, what do you think about that parade?
I'm not a big parade guy.
Yeah, I think I went. Weren't we? We were in like a parade like years ago when we were little or whatever.
Yeah, I have
and
a picture
they had us like fucking holding
like the flag, the banner at the beginning of the parade.
What did it say? Like,
I think it said like
fuck
Mason
the veterans
Middle
or
School or
something. Like, burn the flag. No, it was like we were holding a flag
like
that said
Heritage Day
where we were from. It's like, okay,
you're not proud of your hometown?
well, no, like from what school we were from. It's like, okay,
Be true to your school, as the Beach Boys once said.
My God, my mom said that before. But like, it's just kind of weird where it's like, okay, or were we trying to get donations? Like, I mean, hey, check it out. Like, what was from here? I was like, oh shit. I'm like, check us out on YouTube in 30 years. BuddyShotzPodcast. I should have done that. They hold back Nolte from beating De Niro, and a guy looks like George Lucas. Did you see that picture I sent you?
I didn't think he looked like George Lucas until you sent me that picture. Like, I didn't. I never would have thought that. What'd you think of your boy Nick Nolte in this movie?
I thought he was good. He was kind of subdued.
Yeah, I mean, compared to De Niro.
Yeah. I mean, even just in general, like, I mean, there are parts where he goes out of control when he, like, essentially, like, assaults his daughter. Like, grabs her and shit. Or, like, towards the end. But that's, towards the end of the movie, just becomes, like, a fucking horror movie. Or, like, a schlock fest, kind of. But, and then, of course, De Niro at the bar wearing a Spider-Man suit. That t-shirt. 32 minutes in, I'm like, wait a minute, this looks kind of familiar. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's like the webbing on his fucking shirt.
And he's being super charming.
True. So that he can, like, charm the mistress of Nick Nolte, and he bites a fucking chunk out of her and, like, rapes her. It's like, Jesus.
And punches the hell out of her. That's always the point in the movie where I'm like, it's like,
you're like,
Jesus.
This is always the point in the movie where you're like, yeah, it's fucked up. I was like,
it's like you realize how dangerous he really is.
Yeah. Loretta Tattoo, love of his life. My guess is that was his mother that, like, died while he was in prison. Mm-hmm. That's one thing that I sided with him on, where it was like he was put in jail for something like this, and he missed, like, his, like, all those years with his mother, and, like, she died while he was in prison. It's like, dude, that's time you can't get back.
He lost all those pounds.
That's true. One a year.
That's totally worth it.
What a fucking, man, move over, P90X.
Yeah, Oprah, eat your heart out.
1 fucking pound a year. I think I've lost more pounds in a day when I take a shit.
Jesus.
How did he only lose a pound in a year? Did he, like, not do anything, and then, like, the last day of the year he worked out?
He worked out super hard, but also ate tons of crap.
Well, he could have. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. I mean, that would take...
Like McDonald's.
I feel like that would be even more, like... Take even more, like, mental fortitude to be able to perfectly regulate the amount of working out and eating.
Yeah, like that's
shit.
what Chad Johnson does.
He just
even
eats,
to
like,
this
shit
day.
and
Like,
works
he eats
out.
McDonald's, like, all the time.
Yeah.
But he counters it out with the workouts.
But you know what I mean, though? Like,
yeah.
it would I mean, a lot of, like... I'm sure a lot of wrestlers can eat... They eat whatever the fuck they want, but they're fucking working out, like, you know, multiple hours a week. Or a day.
So I was just looking through the cast list, and Edgar Allan Poe IV played a prisoner. What the hell?
Was he a raven? Nevermore.
Okay.
Was it actually, like, his descendant?
It says descendant of legendary writer Edgar Allan Poe.
He's an actor?
Apparently.
Dude, what else has he been in, I wonder?
He's been in My Girl, Cape Fear,
As the Bee?
Monkey Bone, and
my God.
Bikini Beach Race as Crazy Nerd.
He probably was in Monkey Bone and, like, his career shit the bed.
There you have it.
I wonder what he's up to now. I wonder if he, like, embraced it and is writing poetry or what. Or, like,
he's still in movies up till a few years ago. He was in Sand Sharks, Car Bots, Grizzly Flats. So, yeah.
Poor Edgar Allan Poe.
Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job.
Oh, jeez. Poor guy.
A movie called Nudity Required.
To watch it.
Wow.
I wonder what is like. I wonder what the OG would think about his descendant in this movie or in these movies. He'd probably be like, "What the fuck, dude? Why aren't you writing poetry?" And like dying of a seizure.
He probably drank Jim Beam and Pepto-Bismol back in his day.
Pepto-Bismol existed? Or Jim Beam? I guess Jim Beam maybe, right?
Ye old Pepto. Anyways, sorry for derailing. Comment on that.
Put me on derails here. So like, the mistress is terrified to testify. She's like, "Testify! Show me what you're working with." And I was like, "Come on, testify!" And then I was like, "Oh wait, she was raped." Because at first I thought he just beat her ass, but then I was like, they were like, you know, and I was like, Jesus. It's like every humiliating thing that can happen to you. It's not only that, but it's like the fact that like, especially back then, like she knew her colleagues would just like laugh at it and shit. And it's like, dude, being a woman and fucking like, you know, like, oh, she was asking for it and all this shit. And it's like, dude, it's disgusting behavior.
Since you usually hate drunk acting, what do you think of her drunk acting performance in this movie?
Is she drunk acting in this? I guess she was, yeah. I don't know. It's funny because her character...
Not as good as Deanna Troi.
Well, her regular character wasn't much different from her drunk character. She's kind of like a... Happy-go-lucky, almost ditzy, maybe? Like, you know, character. So, yeah. I guess I didn't really think... I mean, they were also, like... Yeah, I mean, it's not like... The thing is, like, it wasn't, like, a group. Like, a ton of people weren't being fucking drunk motherfuckers and stuff. Like, De Niro had his faculties and stuff, so it was like...
we don't have the time
to
talk about time.
I'm like, dude, get some...
Kill me.
Some acting lessons. Or just get drunk for real. And if you were drunk for real, that's even worse. I'm
like, okay, here I go.
Yeah. I'd rather drink that than fucking watch that again. Actually, maybe not. So we hire the private detective, the man with the fucking Pepto, Jim Beam fucking shit.
Joe Don Baker from Goldeneye.
Yeah, he's like, discover the Pepto. He's doing all his tricks of the trade to try to like help him out. Like, you know, he wants to hire some thugs and all this other stuff. But meanwhile, while that's happening, Nick Nolte gets called out for his sophomore infidelity.
Nice.
I was like, Jesus. Huge fight ends up on Nick Nolte's like, we need to stick together now more than ever, and then you just cut. That's one of the only real super funny parts to me in this movie is he's like, after she's like, you're cheating, you know, again and all this shit, and he's like, we gotta stick together with all this shit that's happening, and it just straight cuts to him like setting up on the couch, and he just says, shit! And I was like, is this like an outtake? Like, because it was great. Just so funny. He's like, yeah, we just gotta keep together. Shit! And I was just like, oh my god, dude, this is so good.
Good stuff.
So he brings back the dog-collared De Niro, and he said, maybe if your husband hadn't betrayed us both, we'd be happy, Lee. And I was like, that's like the most poignant thing in the fucking... Because like, Nick Nolte was happy, and everyone around him was not. Like, he was essentially like the fucking like happy vacuum or whatever. He was actually, I guess if you think about it, he was taking everyone else's happiness to make himself happy.
Yeah. I think that's what makes like him a great villain in this movie, is at some point I think both the wife and the daughter are like kind of attracted to him, even though he's ruining
I mean, definitely Juliette Lewis until
like they know
he goes off the rails, and it's just like, before you were attracted to me and now I will rape you. I was like, oh, I might kind of ruin your plans for anything after this. But De Niro's doing his best bad impression by hanging upside down, pretending to be Juliette Lewis's new drama teacher.
That was great.
He's like, I was like, that was another ridiculously funny scene.
That was awesome.
De Niro, it's like,
he rides the line, man, perfectly. Of like,
I mean,
it could have been a disaster. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was.
But the thing is, like, if anytime he goes for something serious like this, it's like there are times where like the fan where it's like, even if it was meant to be serious, there's peppered in unintentionally ridiculously funny shit in it.
It makes it awesome.
But it's like that shouldn't like I don't know.
It shouldn't work, but it does.
Well, I don't know if it works, but it's funny that it's like in the films. Like I appreciate a film that has like funny stuff in there by like a big action person. Like some other people might not, or like a big star. Like some other stars might not do that. You know what I mean? Like take that risk or like be like, I'm not hanging upside down or whatever. But like even if like this, you know, if you see a movie and you're not necessarily a super huge fan of it, at least like he went for it, I guess.
Oh yeah. I want to talk about the scene where in the school where he pretends to be her teacher.
Nope.
Goodbye.
Yeah, go ahead. Actually, that was my next note.
Okay, good. So I think this is a good, highly entertaining movie, but I think this scene is like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in my life.
I think it's probably one of the most like disturbing things I've seen.
Riveting. And I think it definitely earned Juliette Lewis like her Oscar nomination. But like this scene is by far the best part of this movie, I think.
It's the most fucked up part of the movie, and it's like the only reason I think that this is like I couldn't stop watching it because I was like, is he gonna like rape and kill her here? Is she gonna get away?
Is like
right.
It's amazing
because it's not like they're not like. I don't think that like what they're doing here, as far as like the scene's not like super complex or anything, so they're not doing anything like out of control. But it's like, you know what's at stake, so it's one of those things where like when she shows up, it's like okay, like, but he like completely fools her ass and stuff, and she falls
she
for
slowly
it.
learns like how much danger she's really in.
Do you mind if I put my arm around you? No, I don't mind. And I was like, eh.
And like there's no music, it's very quiet.
Yeah.
Like you can hear a pin drop, and I'm like, dude, I bet this
is
like killed in a theater.
Yeah, I was like, this is like an after school special fucking like 101. Yeah. Don't go to a fucking like, well, I mean, she don't go.
He's literally in like a haunted
forest.
He's
in a fucking like
the big bad wolf house or whatever.
He's in like a fucking cellar, like a troll or some shit.
It's awesome. Like anyone who like loves movies has to watch this movie just for the scene alone.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't think it was as good as you say, but like I was like more so like, holy shit, like I don't want her to get raped here. And I think that's the main reason to watch. And
I think reading or learning about some of the behind the scenes stuff, like she didn't know he was gonna put his thumb in her mouth and like full on make out. So,
she's like, I didn't know he was gonna put his thumb in his mouth. He's like, gets out a big lollipop. He's like, lollipop, lollipop. No, I was just fucking with you. Actually, no, I agree. I do think this is the best scene in the movie by far.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's funny because everything else in the movie is almost, all of it's out of control. This is, like, probably the most subdued scene in the entire movie because it's literally just two people talking. But, like, that's kind of like, I mean, like, you look at, like, I mean, like, Star Trek. The best stuff in the movies or like in the show is never like the action. I mean, it's cool, but like talking about a problem or something is way more interesting, or like the morality like is more interesting to me than like, so it's like, you know, and it's the same thing with like something like Day of the Dead. Their whole like, it's cool with the effects and the zombies and everything, but like when something is like the zombie kills and all that is like the big deal, it's like those are like the added stuff. Like, you know, you don't want to just have fucking frosting. You want to have like the actual,
the human drama is more intense than anything else.
Right. Man is the ultimate monster.
That's why I love Tusk, for all those reasons you just described.
I'm not gonna say anything because I don't want to piss anybody off, and by anybody
Tusk
I mean you.
For life.
I'm gonna keep pushing it. I will say something.
Speaking of over the top, what did you think when De Niro faked out Joe Don Baker by dressing as the housekeeper.
How did he like do her accent? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, and then like he's like, okay, and then fucking he's like turns around for like, why did he make a face? He never saw it. Yeah. Like he like turned around and did that for a camera that didn't exist. It's like in that one Star Trek where everybody poses for a picture that no one takes.
Yeah, he's put on full makeup too.
Right. For something that if all the plans went well, he would never see it.
That's about the part in this movie where I'm like, okay, this is a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean...
like, I love over the top, but it gets...
Like, the best part about this movie is that, like, you don't really ever see anything that he does. Like, you really don't even see him commit all this horrible shit until, like, here. Mm-hmm. Because, like, the stuff with, like, the woman, they cut it off before, like, the act happens. The dog, they never even show it. They're just, like, they talk about it. Like... He's like a ghost in this movie, and you never see him break into the house. He's just already there. He's like kind of like a wisp. He's doing his own thing, and that's what makes it even scarier because you're never in on the know of like this is how he got in or whatever. And like
he can basically do whatever he wants,
right? And like
including survive like an assault by a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, because you can like be like. Like, you see him defend himself and survive that, but it's like he's trained from prison to, like, survive and stuff. And it's like, that doesn't diminish anything because it's one of those things where it's like, he didn't plan that. It just happened and he defended himself. But, like, more so the stuff where it's like, I think it would have been a big detriment to this movie if they showed him breaking in and, like, showed... Because then, as the audience, you would be like, well, if only they had done this. And you start piling things up in your mind... With this way, you have no idea how he got in, so you can't even say, like, you know, other than being like, why didn't they just put iron around the entire fucking house or something? Iron? You know what I mean? Like, but it's like...
Because a bunch of string was, like,
which,
a tripwire is totally going to work.
Right. I was like...
That's when I'd be like, okay, I'm going to get a new guy, a new private eye.
Well, my thing would be like, okay, so you're hiring a bunch of thugs to, like, beat his ass, but you're not going to hire a bunch of guys to help you watch? Like, okay, why didn't you just...
He ran out of thugs?
Station people inside the house or outside the house patrolling or something, or, you know. The guy clearly has money. That would have been the first thing I would have done, was hire a security detail with, like, a bunch of dudes. Then it would have been, like, if one of them gets knocked out, like, fucking, you know, maybe have a thing on them, or if they, like, hit the ground, it goes off or something. But
Two hits.
Like, right. 2 hits, 1 shit. But, like... Oh, go back to the thing where De Niro kisses her and then she runs. I was like... Yeah, it's like she was into it because it seemed like she had never really had like a boyfriend or whatever, and she was like, this is great. And then she's like, wait a minute, this guy's like trying to fuck with my dad and he's like an older man. It's like all these things where it's like, it's taboo and stuff. But, yeah.
Would you say she was tempted by the fruit of a
She was tempted, and the truth was discovered. And her dad was like, what's been going on? He, like, choked the fuck out of her. Or he didn't choke her. He put his, like... He's like... Which made no sense. He's like, tell me! And then he went... And I went, well, how the fuck is she supposed to say anything? You put your hand over her mouth, you fucking idiot.
That moment always, like...
That was horrifying.
But that's, like, a real thing, you know, where a kid, like, doesn't understand how serious the parent is at that moment, and they're like, oh!
Yeah. And so their parent just beats their ass, as they should.
Yeah.
Just
spare the rod.
Fucking hit them with a pistol whip their ass until they fucking pass out.
Spoil the child.
Kill the child. Spoil the rod. But it's like, I was like, it's like if they hadn't done shit in this movie, like if De Niro hadn't been a rapist and like he was wrongfully convicted, I'd be like, Nick Nolte is the true fucking villain of this film because he fucking like grabs his fucking daughter and is like, she's like, get out, and I was like, Jesus.
He went too far.
He's like, wipe that smile off your face. Did he touch you? And I was like, and then as only Juliette Lewis can, she responds as like, you know, in that frail, shaking, but forceful voice, of like, get out of here! And I'm like, and he's like, oh shit, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, how do you, like, not know that that's not the right thing to do? Like, I get a feeling this guy's, like, always in charge of everything, so it's like, when something like this happens, he's, like, flipping the fuck out.
He's at the end of his rope.
Yeah. He's been shooting ropes. Put on some clothes, you're not a little kid anymore. I was like, what does that have to do with anything? It's like, how dare you fucking be in your own room wearing whatever you want. I'm going to come in and see you in your underwear. I'm like, why? Hey, Max! They start beating his ass, and he fights back. I was like, dude, this is legit.
It's good stuff.
Like, I just want to see a movie where, like, De Niro's like a fucking martial arts master.
Dude, De Niro in Shoot Fighter 2.
Dude.
He's going to revolutionize shoot fighting.
In Shit Fighter 2, he's like... Has he ever been in a movie where he was like the main action star or not? Probably not. He probably did more like stuff like this, like drama and thrillers and stuff. It seems like.
In Raging Bull, he's a boxer,
right? But he's not like out there taking on multiple dudes.
Yeah, it's not a street fighting,
right? Even Rocky has shit like that, where like multiple dudes try to fuck him up, right? Like in an alley or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
Speaking of Rocky, he was in Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's true. Glorious leader. I wonder what he thinks about that.
I think he did a good job in that movie.
I know, but he's been in so many movies. I guess like there's just been a lot of movies that, at this point he's probably like, I don't give a fuck, because it's like, really. I mean, it's the same. It's not like if you do one movie like that, it's not like gonna be like, and your fucking career's over. It's like out of all the stuff that I've ever seen someone be in, it's like that at least had like some sort of like direction, and it was kind of faithful to the source material.
That was a decent movie, I thought. I just saw it for the first time not that long ago.
I thought, it's okay, but it wasn't like one of those things where I was like, at least he
wasn't phoning it in, by
right? I mean, at least they like. That's the thing is like in the X-Men movies where like Halle Berry was just like acted like she could give a fuck less to play fucking Storm, and it was like, everybody else here seems to give a shit, and you do not. It's so obvious. She's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, what the fuck?
What did you think when Robert De Niro was like, could you be there? It's not worth it. It's like, what? It's not worth it. That's your one mission. Like, you don't want to take the extra, like, 2 seconds to look behind the dumpster?
Yeah. I was like... I'm assuming that was, like, him knowing he was there and, like, fucking with him. Yeah, but I agree. I thought it was like, oh.
He did just get whipped to hell and back with a chain.
Yeah, and he went to hell and back.
They sent him to hell before he went to heaven.
Yeah. I thought the funny thing was, or not the funny thing, the thing where he, like, Nick Nolte has to be restrained against De Niro.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
It was like, okay, this reminded me of a lot of like law-abiding citizen, where it's like the pupil becomes the master.
Yeah.
De Niro leaves sexist for Juliet, and she goes, Pepto-Bismol and Jim Beam, we already fucking covered that dog shit. Juliette Lewis was screaming, no! No! I'm like, shut up! Shut up!
Like when you ordered at that hot dog place.
Oh my god. I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Nick Nolte and wife slip and slide in blood.
That is gross.
It's like when she I understand.
That was very effective.
Well, it's like the daughter, I think, is the only true like innocent victim in this whole thing, and she like discovers like the live-in kind of like helper or maid or whatever that they have, and like she actually is like her. It's like it seems like her mom or her like she actually loves her, and when she discovers her killed, she's like no like and stuff, and I'm like, good lord, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
But it was also kind of like, okay, at this point he's like killing people that aren't even really involved in it. Like, she was completely innocent. So, not only that, but like, if he, like, when he killed her, they seemed to not give a fuck. They went straight to the detective.
Yeah. Except
for Juliette Lewis. So it's like, you get a feeling that, like, these people were like, servants are fucking, our shit. Servants are our shit. The servant puts on glasses. She's like, the difference between me and you, I make this look good. And I'm like, whoa. They flee to Cape Fear, but he's holding onto the bottom of the car with a seatbelt. I thought that was legit.
Yeah. Sadly, I had that spoiled for me by the Simpsons episode.
You're like, sadly, I did that.
And I was instantly killed.
That's how you...
First time they went over a bump.
That's how you get home every day? Even though you work from home, I think a lot.
Hey kids, want to drive through that cactus patch?
Yeah. Woo! On the boat, taking the Pepsi challenge.
Yeah.
I was
nice.
like, ah.
I noticed that too. Yeah, this part of the movie, I think it kind of loses the edge because it goes a little bit too cartoonish.
Yeah. It's definitely not like a thriller at this point. It's
yeah,
like
I mean, it is scary how he like
film.
he's creating like a nightmare to like torture, you know.
Yeah.
But
it kind of
is too much.
Yeah, it kind of like ventures into like Last House on the Left territory and shit like that I'm not a huge fan of. I did have a note earlier that I forgot to talk about where I put this movie feels timeless because there's a lot of stuff in this that like you still like, at least in the areas like where it's like, you know, the like Bay cities and stuff like that, where it's like stuff like that, like Maine or, you know, where whatever, just it hasn't changed forever, so it just seems like, obviously, other than like you see a Pepsi can in this and you're like, Pepsi doesn't look like that anymore, they've changed their shit, but like, you know, other than that,
yeah, that's a good point.
De Niro knocks out Nolte and fucking ties him up. He's like, I want you to see this, and I'm like, Jesus. I thought it was weird that, like, so, like, we're going to talk, I guess, towards the end here about in the movie, and, like, Juliette Lewis throws boiling water on De Niro, and, like, he explains that, like, you know, I grew up, like, being bit by snakes and all this stuff because, like, his parents were, like, super religious, and they were, like, handling snakes as, like, a sign of devotion to God, and I'm like, you might not feel pain, but, like, your fucking face would still, like, bubble up if somebody threw fucking boiling water on you. It's, like, you couldn't train your fucking flesh to, like, you know what I mean? To be, like, impervious. But, like, when he says, are you offering me something hot? I was like, oh, it's boiling. Yeah. So, like, he tries to, like, multiple times rape his wife and his daughter in front of him. And I was like, dude, this is like in movies my nightmare, essentially.
Yeah.
Watching something like this, like where someone is being, like, cucked and then fucking he's watching a rape happen of his, like, daughter or something, and it's like, Jesus.
Can't think of a much worse scenario.
Yeah. It's like in Deliverance where these people are just watching a fucking rape, and it's like, Jesus. Or like Pulp Fiction. That movie fucked me up when I first saw it.
Oh, yeah.
At our friend's house. I was like, and I was in high school, I was like, fuck, dude. I mean, I guess not like it would matter what age you were when you saw that. I'm like, now that I'm 40, rape doesn't bother me. It's like, it's not a sexual thing. It's like a power, you know, I was gonna say a power fantasy, but I mean, I guess it is for the person doing it, but, like, you know, it's like
he's getting the ultimate revenge.
Right, it's a humiliation.
But when he gets turned into a Human Torch, that is kind of weird.
Yeah, I put that. At first I was like, are those flames CG at points or no?
It looked awesome, dude. Like, I kind of wish that would have just been, like, the kill at the end of the movie.
I thought that was going to be it, and, like, when he comes
satisfying.
back, I was like, this sucks. Like, what the fuck is this?
I agree. It's too much. He starts speaking in tongues, and I'm like, dude, I appreciate how far this is going, but it doesn't work.
It turns into, like, the Joker or something, and I'm like, ugh. Which, if it was the Joker, it probably would have been better, because it would have at least been like, oh, he's crazy, but this was just like, okay, so now he turned into, like, Jason?
Right.
Like, he's supernatural at this point, and I'm like...
When he does at the very end get dragged underwater,
that
was
like,
awesome.
Yeah, that was like
he's just like staring.
It would have been cool if, like, maybe, like, they burned his ass, and then he handcuffed him to the thing, and then that's the last thing you see is him, like, looking as he goes down or whatever.
That would have been amazing.
That shot is, like, so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, did he get free? Like, is he gonna survive? So it's like, you never know.
Worse.
Because you don't see, like, him fucking die, you just see him go under, and it's like, well, he could have escaped, so... But...
Cape Fear 2,
right.
Max Cady's revenge. Like, this time, it's personal.
Yeah.
So, no, it's personal this time.
It's like, it's fucking Cape Fear for real. But yeah, the wife kind of talks about, she's like, I tried to imagine your crimes and could have felt in those moments to do them and see them. And she's trying to, like, you know, play his ass, essentially. And he's like, he's essentially, like, turns into an animal. He's like, you know, because he's like, she fucking with me or what? And I'm like, ugh. But, like, when Julia Lewis burns him and it's like the flames are like, he's like, argh! What'd you think? Dude, yeah, because when he comes back and he's burned and he, like, breaks the fourth wall, I was like, what is this? This is like Deadpool or something over here. Because he's like, you're right, Your Honor, that was out of control. And I was like, okay.
It's too much. Doesn't work, sadly.
De Niro goes full Kenny as the preacher in the Bible episode here. I was like, good Lord. And then he's like, take off your clothes. Weird.
I am like God, and God like me.
Yeah.
I'm as large as God.
He's like, Austin 3:16 says. And I'm like, but he's like,
it doesn't matter.
Take off your fucking clothes. And I was like, I'm already naked watching this. What do you want? Nolte growls in glee when he cuffs De Niro to the boat. He's like, ah!
That was great.
I was like, okay, now this is just a fucking joke. I will admit it was funny, but it's like, at this point, it's like, this is not the movie.
Like, is this the same movie where they had that super intense school scene?
This is like a reimagining. This is like Evil Dead 1 cut with Evil Dead 2 in the same movie. It's like, what? But De Niro talking in tongues as he drowns. Juliette Lewis, last lines. We never spoke about what happened, at least not to each other. Fear supposed that to remember his name and what he did would mean letting him into our dreams. And me, I hardly dream about him anymore. Still, things will never be the same where they were before he came. But that's alright, because if you hang on to the past, you die a little every day. And for myself, I know I'd rather live. The end.
Words to live by. The end.
Don't get fucking drowned. Yeah, true.
Any other thoughts on Cape Fear?
I'm
glad you liked it. I think we came down with similar takes on this one.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. Like, I didn't really think about the ending all that much until you kind of started talking about it and, like, how... I think the only thing, that, like, even when I was watching it, I was kind of annoyed with was that, like, that's something that, like, even in horror movies, I'm not, like, a huge fan of. This is, like... that they kind of just are like, we're just gonna have this guy, because if you don't make make rules or make something like permanent, like all the stakes are taken out of it. And like in this, it was like essentially he was like the horror villain of the film, but then he became like Jason, so he couldn't, like, it's like you start to think like, well, when he was drowned, is he gonna live? And it's like, before you would have known that he would have died, but then you have that thing in your mind. It's like, well, he was burned, they threw boiling water on him and he fucking drowned. He took underwater.
His face got burned Freddy style, literally.
And it wasn't even as bad as it probably should have been for them putting fucking lighter fluid on his face. And I was like, okay, so like, but that's the problem, is like if they just hadn't gone that extra bit and he had just died like a normal person, like, being in jail doesn't make you fucking invincible. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but, yeah. I mean, it's good. It's just the ending. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with that.
It's just a letdown. But yeah, I'm going to go 8.95 on this.
Nice.
The ending kind of holds it back. But still...
It's being held back, Elmer!
I would highly recommend this. I was highly entertained.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. I stretched in a bend. I'll probably do like 7.95.
Cool.
That ending it's kind of shocking, especially from a movie with De Niro and directed by, who all's involved, it's kind of shocking that like they went that way with it. This is almost kind of seems like something you would see in like a Friday the 13th movie or something.
Yeah.
Or like a, Mike Myers movie or something. Yeah, baby.
I read Roger Ebert's review, and he gave it 3 out of 4 stars, and pretty much praised everything about it, but he was like, he listed all the other movies that Scorsese made, and he's like, this is not progress. I was like, dude, what a harsh criticism. But it is kind of true.
I mean, I think the movie, besides the ending, is probably some of the best shit he's done. It's just the ending.
It is. It's the movie he was trying to make.
Behind the scenes of the 4th of July parade. I'm sure that's riveting.
I just want to watch the whole parade.
Yeah. I'm like, on the set of the houseboat. Photo montage. And more.
And no more, animated menus?
And more means nothing. Why isn't there a commentary by De Niro?
In character, as Max Cady.
He's like, you want to fucking watch this DVD? I don't think so, Counselor.
Counselor,
you want to watch this DVD with me? I haven't watched this DVD in 14 years. It's like, what? Has he ever done a commentary, De Niro? I would be shocked if he did. He seems like somebody that just goes on to the next project, like Johnny Depp or whatever. I don't think he's ever done a commentary either.
None's come to mind, for sure.
Yeah. I think it's the same way with Michael Caine, but he did one, I think, for Get Carter, because he liked the movie so much. So, I guess it depends. Just like the diaper.
He's like, I failed you. Should we move on to The Simpsons weird watches?
I failed you. It's like, Jesus! Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it.
So you had seen this back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
It had been a long time.
And yeah, I'd seen it multiple times since then, but it's probably been... Yeah, I can't remember.
The Sideshow Bob episodes are always like a special treat.
Yeah, they're my favorite. Because Kelsey Grammer is, I think, in my opinion, their best like guest that keeps coming back. His voice is just so legit. I like in the later seasons when like his brother shows up and it's Niles from Frasier. I was like, nice dude, touch. The guy that originally voiced Abe Sapien before they handed it off to Dougie Jones. Dougie Jones.
This episode was in season 5.
Yes.
They were totally in the middle of their prime at this point, like hitting on all cylinders.
I think they said in the commentary this was like one of the last, or maybe the last episode of the original crew of like because like this was
the writers
for the 4th, but it ended up going into the 5th season. And
it's like the second episode
because everybody ended up leaving, and the only person that was left in the writers was like Conan O'Brien, and he was like, shit. Did you listen to the commentary or whatever? I know you probably have.
Not
before,
this week, but I have before.
Yeah,
I remember only one thing about it, which is when they talk about the rake scene.
Yeah, some of the stuff. I mean, it was kind of like the stuff with like the Batman Beyond commentary. Like, I hate to say it, but like some of the stuff that they had to say wasn't super great.
Did they focus a lot of? I feel like a lot of time they focused in on the animation specifically. Like pointing things out.
That or just like ideas details that they had that like, around the production of like at the time more so than the actual episode. And I was kind of like, that's cool. But like everyone watching this as a super Simpsons fan already knows this. Like this isn't really shocking. Like, so I was kind of hoping to hear more about like what the writing process was for the episode and stuff. And there were stuff like that in it. Like you said, like the rake scene about how since it was so short, the episode they had to extend it.
Yeah, they're like stretch.
Yeah, they were just like stretched, so they kept adding in the exact same stuff over and over again.
And it became one of the most iconic moments of the whole series.
That was one of those things where like they were talking about. One of the guys was like saying that like there's a principle in comedy where like something goes on too long, it's not funny, but if you wait long enough, it'll be funny again, and that's kind of what happens in this. And I think the only other thing of note was like Matt Groening, which was cool to hear him on the commentary, was talking about how at first he thought the ending was going to be a joke because they were like, yeah, we should do like he sings HMS Pinafore, and he's like, yeah, that's great, like whatever, and he left for like the weekend or something, and he came back and they had actually done it, and he's like, wait, what? And he's like, but it ended up being great, so and they were like, yeah, we thought you were serious with it being okay. It's just funny that it's like stuff like that ends up being like iconic too, but it was only because you know, he approved it, you know, but really was like, whatever, we'll come up with a real idea later.
I distinctly remember watching this episode when it first aired, and like my family was dying laughing at that rape scene. Like, it was so funny.
Yeah, the whole episode, I think, it's so good.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's somebody sending letters to. If you haven't seen the episode, I'd say go see it before you listen to this part. But spoilers for a 30-year-old episode of The Simpsons. The Simpsons, what year was this? Was this like...
This was like 94, 95, mid-90s.
Yeah, and this, like you said, this was when they were fucking not messing around.
Yeah.
This is back when, if like you said The Simpsons, it was like, yeah, I watched it. It was like everybody talked about it and stuff like that. But like somebody sending letters to Bart, threatening letters, like, I will kill you and all this stuff. And,
Die, Bart, die.
Yeah, you end up finding out that it's Sideshow Bob in jail, and he gets released from prison. And
except for the one that Homer wrote.
This
is so funny.
Yeah, he was like, "Fuck you, son." But like, that's essentially the plot. It's essentially like Cape Fear. It's like there's, you know, he gets released. There's a little bit different stuff. Like he gets, like they have to go to like a what's it called? Like he has to be like given release by like a board or whatever that's called, and they have to vote on it and stuff, whereas in the movie it's just like he serves his time and he's out. But like other than that, they have like a houseboat thing at the end and all this other stuff, so we'll go through, I guess, some stuff. But like, this is an episode with McBain in it, and he has a late night show, and he's like says it's like a joke about gay people, and then he's like, everyone in the audience is a homosexual, and they're all like, boo. And it was like, everyone's like, what the fuck is this? I thought that was hilarious, because it was like he's always like, it's always cool to see that character who's definitely supposed to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger on the show. And then of course they have Itchy and Scratchy, like they do like a James Bond gag with the laser.
That was good stuff.
So of course they've got some fake outs here with Bart, I'm going to get you some ice cream because I saved so much money. And then Flanders, say your prayers, Simpson, because the schools can't force you like they should. This is like the stuff that we do.
This has the same joke structure of a Buddy Shots skit.
You're going to be my murder victim, Bart, in our school production of Lizzie Borden. I'm like, what? It's like the stuff that's
Ellie Mae, don't spit out a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
Wait for it to stop.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know why this stuff always gets me.
It's hilarious. I love it.
It's like so stupid it shouldn't work, but I always fall for it. And then when they're doing the hearing of like Sideshow Bob, and they're like, he tried to kill me or whatever, and then like, raise of hands, who wants to kill her right now? And a couple people raise their hands, and it's like, be honest, and the preacher's like, and it's like everyone in the audience at the trial wanted to kill her, and I was like, Jesus!
The jokes per minute are like landing at an all-time high.
This cracks me. Well, this whole episode's great, but like, this reminds me of another joke where they say like, no one that speaks German can be evil. Can be an evil man. And like, it reminded me of I think the hardest I've ever laughed at the show. It was so random, but like, they found out that like the founder of Springfield was actually a pirate, and like they're like, what the like, we can no longer sponsor Springfield. A pirate is no place for Long John Silver's restaurant to sponsor. And I was like, Jesus.
So I started a Simpsons rewatch because I probably haven't watched them in like 15 years.
Right, yeah.
And the funniest jokes that I'm a couple seasons in, like in the first season, there's an episode where Bart's being like bullied at school, and Marge encourages him to like tell someone about it.
Yeah.
And Homer goes, but Marge, that goes against the code of the schoolyard.
Yeah.
I'd rather Bart die than break the code of the schoolyard. I'm like, dude, come on.
It was like, good lord.
So
also, this was legit because they talked about how, for whatever reason, they were like enamored with doing Ernest jokes all the time, and then this one, like, Ernest goes somewhere cheap. He's like, public library, let's stay here for a while, Vern. And fucking Sideshow Bob was like, ah. And then, like, Homer, they look over like, I can't believe that someone would be smoking in here, and they pan over, and, like, Homer is smoking a Knoxville World's Fair 1983 cigar, and I'm like, that's so random. But, like, he's like, hey, you know, like, he's like, okay, I'll say something to him. It's like, hey, Vern, help me try to get my head out of this toilet. And Homer's like, ah! And then Sideshow Bob's like, that's really too much. Like, that wasn't really that funny or whatever. And I was like, dude.
That's great.
You awful man, stay away from my son. Oh, I'll stay away from your son. All right, stay away forever. Oh, no. And he's like, wait a minute, that's no good. And then he's like, I've got another one, let me try. And she's like, no. And he's like, damn it. I'll stay away from him, all right. It's like, oh my god. Yeah, of course you talked about this earlier, where he's under the car, and they're like, who wants to drive through this cactus patch? And they're like, yes, no. It's like 2 against 1. I was like, Jesus. And then we got the Sideshow Bob famous rake sequence. Where he's like, ugh.
It's so funny. I laughed the hardest when it happened, like, one more time after that scene. I was so good.
Like when he got onto the boat.
Yeah.
And there's a random rake.
He does the same sound effect.
They talk about how Kelsey Grammer was watching it, and he was like, did something get fucked up or something? Because, like, he wasn't expecting it. Because they just used that,
right,
like, over and over again. And he was like, what? But, like, he thought it was, like, the funniest shit ever after he watched it or whatever. But
have you seen the clip where Kelsey Grammer falls off the stage when he's giving a speech?
He just, like, walks off. It's like, what?
He's like, blah, blah, blah. Good guy!
Yeah, he just walks off into, like, nothingness. He, like, disappears. He's like, this, for whatever reason, I remember this scene being in, like, one of the Halloween episodes, but it's not the one where he's like, you know, Bart is, like, at his wit's end. Like, he's like, oh, shit, you know, someone's trying to kill me. And Homer runs in holding a knife, and he's like, Bart, do you want some brownies before you go to bed? And he's like, yeah. And then the chainsaw one or whatever, where he's like, you want to check out my new hockey mask and chainsaw? And he's like, which I think that's one that we always fucking talk about and stuff, because it was classic, so ridiculous. And at the end of this, he's like, what do you want? And he's like, could you sing the entire, you know, thing of HMS Pinafore or whatever, because it's like so long. He's like, you know, gonna try to get to town or whatever before he finishes. It's like, oh my god, the first time I saw this I was cracking up, because I was just like, dude, this is so random.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, great episode. I don't know, back then, The Simpsons was like, actually, like, you would watch it and be like, dude, can you believe this happened? This was hilarious.
It was like one of the highlights of a week, watching the new Simpsons episode.
Right, because
it was like
exactly.
Non-stop hilarity.
It was like the last great thing before you had to go back to school the next day. And it was like, oh, this is sweet. I haven't watched it in forever, but I remember back then, you know, back during this time, it was so good and really fun to watch and stuff. So, how many? What are they up to now? Like, how many episodes or how many seasons?
They're in the 30s.
Damn. Yeah, it's been going on for a while. So
yeah, I would say like season 3 through maybe 10.
Yeah,
is like the prime time. Yeah, of like pretty much gold.
I think like my other like episode I really like. You Only Move Twice was Hank Scorpio's. My other one I really remember really loving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Maybe we'll talk about that episode someday when we do a James Bond thing or something. That'd be kind of cool. Or maybe another spy movie.
Yeah, it was fun to go back and remember how good The Simpsons was.
Yeah, and I'm not.
Go ahead. We're about to say the exact same thing.
I'm not
a hater.
Yeah.
I have seen some of the more recent episodes. I mean, they're still entertaining, but it's not like like it used to be.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't have the heart that it had. In the
yeah, a lot of times if I'll watch an episode, like I've caught one, I think like 5 years ago. I was just kind of watching it, and it was like I wasn't really laughing. I was just kind of like, I mean, it's an animated show, so it's kind of like, I mean, it reminds me of like American Dad or Family Guy or something, where it's like it's an animated sitcom. You know what I mean? And stuff happens. It's like the adult comedy, animated comedies is what they call them now, I guess. But like, you know, your mileage may vary. I guess if I was like eating 20 pop brownies, I'd probably think it was hilarious. But I was just kind of watching it and being
I'd also
like,
think Theodore Rex was hilarious.
yeah, true. But
no,
you know what I mean?
That's
I was
a lie.
right. Well, you'd be horrified.
No amount of drugs could help that.
I think if I was high, I might think it was more entertaining for sure.
Right. You're about to find out.
I'll get high off of that. But you know what I mean? Like yeah, a lot of it was just kind of like I would watch it and be like, I don't know, the stuff they're tackling is just kind of a little too. It's less about like a funny episode and more about like what guest or like thing can we, you know, like this week is about Lisa recycling or like Homer wanting to like, you know, become like vegan or something, and it's like something that's like, okay, I know what the people's values that write The Simpsons are right now, and it's fine, but it's kind of like, can it be about the show being funny?
Yeah.
The animation also is kind of like definitely a lot different stuff.
Oh
now.
yeah, big time.
Not that would change it for me. If it was like just as funny, I wouldn't really care. But like I said, I'm not trying to dunk on it. It's just something where it's like it's just definitely not as. I mean, a lot of the people that worked on the show back then went on to be like, you know, like Conan and all these people that went on to be like huge and other, you know, things. It's
yeah,
like,
I mean, I will be sad if it ever ends, because I mean we've lived almost our whole lives in the world where The Simpsons is on. So
yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah, I mean it's yeah. I see where you're coming from, but it's like if I don't know, like to me, I it's almost like it's already ended because I don't ever watch it. So if they end up,
it's dead to me.
If they ever end up ending, I'm kind of surprised they have enough people watching the show at this point. But I don't know. Do you watch The Simpsons still? If so, say something in the comments, because
You be the judge.
yeah, like I could just be, you know. We could just be two of the people that don't really.
Well, everything has MTV editing now.
They edit the episodes once they've been animated like that. I'm like, whoa. Which I still don't understand what that means. Maybe they meant like reality show, but that doesn't make any sense either for a movie. But like, yeah, I'm not trying to be like, you know, I would think if you polled a lot of people, even like younger people, and you asked them if you watch The Simpsons, they'd probably be like, no, or like, you know. And I'm not trying to say like, you know, because it's not like it was back in the day. I mean, I think it's just because the writing. I mean, it's been on for so long, so it's kind of hard to do something funny still. But
Yeah.
I think
See
that
the BuddyShotzs.
right. I think the style of like, I don't know. I think the style of comedy is definitely like not up to snuff from what it was, at least when I'm just going off of episodes I've seen like 5 or so years ago. I haven't seen anything recently. I think a lot of the characters kind of changed too, like with Homer and stuff, and that was what kind of got me like not as interested. So he used to be like a loving dad. Now it's like, I'm Peter Griffin
Except
Jr.
when he said he wanted Bart to
right,
die.
but it was
in the
like,
first
I'm
season.
Peter Griffin Jr. And I'm like, cool, this show sucks. More so like it's all about me. Like there are so many episodes I think I'd seen over the years where it's like Homer and Marge are about to get a divorce, and I'm like, or like they are divorced in the future, and I'm like, dude, can this get any more mean-spirited? Like, good lord. I think that's the thing. Possibly that's what I was looking for, the mean-spiritedness, where it's like there was always, like you said, a heart
Yeah, definitely. In
to
the
it,
earlier
like
seasons.
yeah, in the back in the day, and then along the way they were like, let's not do that. Okay, whatever. I think that's kind of like with Roseanne. I used to kind of watch that show every once in a while, and then like towards the end of the show, they were like, they won the lottery, and I'm like, what's the point of this show? Like, they're essentially living like in a trailer park house, you know, like they're very low income, but they win the lottery. So then it's like, okay, well, all the like struggle is gone. So, but having said that, Yeah, I think if The Simpsons would go off the air, that would kind of be like... It'd definitely be like, oh, it's the end of an era kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I'd be shocked if it did, though. I think at this point it's kind of like... I mean, maybe eventually, but...
Yeah.
You know, it's been going on for so long, and, you know...
768 episodes, according to IMDb.
Almost as many as Buddy Shots. It's like, wait a minute. Have we hit our... have we jumped our shark yet, like The Simpsons, you think?
Yeah, I think a few weeks ago.
I think our shit's quality every week.
I agree. Couldn't be better. Perfect.
Yeah. 9.95. Perfect podcasters. I'm like... I suck myself off. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just said I don't want to shit on The Simpsons, and I went and shit on some of the stuff, but I don't think it was like shitting. I wasn't like, fuck The Simpsons, they suck and they've always sucked. It's like...
Just cut out that clip.
But I did mean it. But I like The Simpsons, and I think that's why I was kind of disappointed and stuff like that. Because
you're not mad, you're just disappointed.
Right, yeah, which is worse. But...
I'm curious to know what's on tap for next episode.
Yeah. You're like, let's stop talking about the fucking new Simpsons, please. I'm getting depressed. Your frown is turning upside down. Or wait!
We'll find out.
Wait, your frown is turning upside down, that means you're smiling?
Yeah.
Oh, that did make sense. Okay, so next week, I want to do something that... two movies I've never seen, but they're like classics. One is a new classic, and one is like kind of came out last couple years.
Cool.
And one is a classic from when we were younger, and I've never seen either one of these films. They involve planes. And they also involve...
Planes 1 and 2 from...
Yeah. One's from the 80s and one's from like a couple years ago. And they both star the same guy. And I'm trying to think if I can give any more hints without giving it away.
Passenger 57?
Was there a new one that came out this year? I'm like, first of all, you got to fit in the criteria. You're like...
yeah, Passenger 58. I'm trying to think.
Fighter jets.
Ah, I like this.
Do you know what they are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, you're in for a treat.
So, I think that, I think so. People talk more highly, shockingly, of the new one than the old one. So, next week...
Including me.
We're going to watch Munchies. No. We're going to watch...
Munchies Take the Sky.
Yeah. We're going to watch Leprechaun and Leprechaun Origins starring Hornswoggle. No.
Leprechaun did go into space.
Oh my god, yeah, I know, right? Leprechaun in the Hood or whatever. Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick.
This is an interesting
Maverick's the coolest. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think there's going to be a lot to talk about because I've never seen either one of these films, but I don't know how I didn't see them because they were like a huge deal, like a phenomenon and stuff. I think I kind of wanted to wait to ever watch like Top Gun Maverick for when I possibly like one of us picked, Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick for like a week or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I think this will be pretty fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be great, especially because it's another film from one of our favorite directors, Tony Scott.
Yep.
I guarantee we've done more of his movies than anyone else at this point.
It's because he's
deservedly so.
It's because he's hot. I love Tony Scott.
I do too.
I'm like, not true. No,
Even
Tony
Top
Scott
Gun is not one of my favorite of his movies, but it should be.
Did he do Maverick as well?
No, he died sadly.
Oh, that's right.
But I think they definitely made it in his style. Like,
yeah,
I guarantee. I don't have to guarantee because they've said it. All the filmmakers were thinking about Tony Scott as they made the movie, like to make it as much like he would have made it.
I guarantee
they said that. So stupid.
But do you know him?
But even though I don't think the first Top Gun, like let's just start the episode right now.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great movie. It definitely should be seen by everyone as like a pop culture touchstone.
It's like a phenomenon for sure because people quote it and I don't have any idea what they're talking about. So maybe I'll watch it and I will watch it, but
I
maybe
guarantee.
Yeah, I guarantee when I watch it, maybe I'll see what everybody saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've I've heard the same sentiment from Trav too, where he's like, dude, I saw like Top Gun Maverick like 5 times. It's like
unbelievable.
He loves it and stuff, and I was like, he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's like, I kind of watched like Top Gun once, so it's shocking because a lot of times like I've heard like back in the day like Nate and a couple other people were like, dude, the original Top Gun is so good and stuff, and I'm like, I just never watched it, so it's like to hear that Top Gun Maverick is like even better. I'm like, man, this is gonna be awesome. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's one of those rare phenomenons where like the sequel is like way better than the first. Like, how did this happen?
I'm like Austin Powers too, right?
Well, that's my opinion. I'll let you make up your own.
Thank you.
You're
like, but I guarantee that you won't like it. I'm like, what? I guarantee you they said it.
A lot of people love the first one too, though. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be bad.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how it holds up and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it has some iconic music in it.
Definitely. Sure. The sky's going to be dark because of all the star power in Top Gun.
Because, like, the stars wouldn't be up in the sky. They'd be, like, on the screen.
Exactly.
There you have it. I filled in the blanks. I'm like Mad Lib's Buddy Shots edition. Nice, man.
Cool.
I had some other ideas and stuff, but, like, for, like, next week. But, like, the movies that I'm going to be picking in the future haven't arrived yet. So.
Okay.
I'm excited, and I think it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time.
Until next time, we'll see you in the highway to the danger zone.
Yep.
Bye.
So, Matt, do you have any last requests before I pull the plug on this microphone of your life for good?
Well, I just had one request, but nah.
No. Go ahead.
Before you do me in, I'd like to hear just one more song from my favorite musical artists, Spunkadelic.
Okay, man. I'll send you to heaven before I send you to hell.
I've been checking you out, yes you know it's true. Thinking about all the things I could do with you. All the fellas say yeah every time you pass, but you're thinking that I'm too high class. Yo, check this chick I've been talking with. She got a body that just don't wanna quit. She thinks I'm a lover from another world. Actually, she heard it from another girl. This guy's gotta be put in his place, preferably somewhere in outer space. I hear what the girls say all the time. This guy's a legend and in his own mind. Baby, take me. Why don't you take me? Take my ass, I am. Be your man. I'll be a skeleton. Take me, baby. Take me as I am. I'll be your whole wide world. Judy told Mary she's in love with me. Mary told Judy that could never be. She said Betty told her girlfriend Cheryl that was checking a girl named Daryl. These girls made up in their minds and their name around the old grapevine. Really that secondhand rap. My friend Mary sitting on my lap. Don't believe that, it's a bad load of crap. The only thing Scott sitting on his lap is a dog named Peachy who's taking a nap. It's a party, and you know I can't miss it. My parents say stay home, I say forget it. My friends are outside waiting in the car. My mother says now you've gone too far. So she grounded me for a whole week. I couldn't take it, I started to freak. And while they're staying up watching the late show, I'm sneaking out my bedroom window. Just when the party started to roll, my boss at the Huntersville said he's gotta go. He acts so tough when he's with his friends. I like to think he just pretends. I said, boss, what's wrong with you? We gotta go, I got something to do. I said you just run along and play, cause I'm gonna dance the whole night away.
Yo, give me a beat! Too sweet! That's French, baby. Somebody scream! I once saw the script and I was under his spell. How was I to know he was straight from hell? He asked me to go to the restaurant. I said, what do you think I am? A debutante. Hey buddy, let's have a good time. I said, turd brain, you're out of line. Cause when you think you found the right guy, he just wants to show you what's behind his fly.
Thank you. Okay, now you're done, Matt.
Okay, stop right there, Mike. You're under arrest.
Bob De Niro's beard!
Before you do me in, I'd like to hear just one more song from my favorite musical artists, Spunkadelic.
I like how there was a question at the end.
The most phony thing.
Spunkadelic?
I'm like, action, cut.
I'm like, Daddy. Oh,
Teehee. As usual, sitting here talking to myself.
I look up like you're like how you were before. I'm like 20 feet tall.
Ah! Yeah!
Yeah!
It's like that time when I was like, the skeleton guy's gonna be above us if you look straight up, and I was like, he's not like 50 feet tall.
Nice hand acting. I'm like,
what? That's what I would do. I go,
like I can't see someone standing directly in front of me about to.
I'm like.
Okay, this lighting situation.
Free as a bird. You podcast wherever you want.
How that works.
How it looks.
Looks okay. Kind of look like you have a giant light right next to you.
Well, I do. I'm like,
you got this.
Hello. Wait.
You're like, oh, I got that.
Yeah. I'm like, freeze a bird. You podcast wherever you want. It's like, hey, good.
Well, just one, but nah.
I'm like,
no, good ahead. Just noticed that.
Okay, Matt. I'll send you to heaven. I sound like a fucking robot. Okay, Matt. I will send you to heaven before I send you to hell. Okay, I think maybe I need to come up with something better than, okay, now you're done.
Now you're done. That's good. I like it.
Bye, De Niro's. Okay, I completely changed accents. I'm like, ah! Jesus. Help me. What that? I'm like, highway to the danger zone. It's like,
I have the Top Gun soundtrack.
Highway to the
On
danger
compact
zone.
disc.
Aren't you fucking like flying?
There's your first criticism.
Wait a minute.
Do something!
Okay, what was the intro? I say,
You're like, welcome all our fans out there and, whatever, to Buddy Shots.
okay. Welcome all our fans out there or whatever to BuddyShotzPodcast. Okay, they're like, say goodbye, Mike. Goodbye, Mike. It's like, shut the fuck up. I think this is smart, dude. Okay.
9.95. Emotion is feeling so high. 9.95. In overdrive.
Put your body in overdrive.
9.95.